The haunted truth behind America's most mysterious hotel. The real story of the Stanley. When the winds whisper through the Rocky Mountains of Colorado, there's one place where even the air feels heavy with secrets. A grand white building that gleams under the moonlight like a ghost frozen in time. This is the Stanley Hotel, nestled in Estes Park. To some, it's a masterpiece of early 20th century luxury, but to others, it's one of America's most haunted hotels. And as you'll soon see, every chandelier, every empty hallway, and every creaking floorboard in the Stanley hides a story, one that blurs the line between history and horror. The birth of a dream and the beginning of something strange. It all began in 1903 when Freeland Oscar Stanley, the co-inventor of the famous Stanley steamer automobile, came to Colorado in search of his life, literally. Stanley had been diagnosed with tuberculosis, a deadly disease at the time. Doctors gave him only months to live. But instead of surrendering to fate, he and his wife Flora traveled west, seeking refuge in the clean mountain air of Estes Park. Something miraculous happened. The fresh air, the sunlight, and the serenity of the Rockies did what no medicine could. Stanley recovered. By 1907, he was healthier than ever. Grateful for his second chance at life, Stanley decided to build a grand hotel, a gift to the land that had saved him. But this would be no ordinary lodge. He envisioned an opulent mountain resort where America's wealthy elite could experience both comfort and nature in perfect harmony. Construction began in 1907, and by 1909, the Stanley Hotel opened its doors with electric lights, telephones, uniformed staff, and even a fleet of Stanley steamer cars ready to ferry guests from the train station. It was elegant, majestic, and alive with energy. But as the guests danced and dined, some claimed the walls were already beginning to whisper. Echoes of the past. For years, the hotel thrived, but something was always off. Staff would report strange occurrences, piano music playing in the empty ballroom, lights flickering on their own, laughter echoing from unoccupied rooms. Most believed it was just the creaks of an old building. Until one night, a terrifying explosion nearly changed everything. In 1911, chambermaid Elizabeth Wilson was lighting an oil lamp in room 217 when a gas leak caused a massive blast. The floor collapsed beneath her feet, sending her crashing down into the dining room below. Miraculously, Elizabeth survived, but her spirit, they say, never truly left. To this day, guests who stay in room 217 often report their belongings neatly unpacked, shoes arranged, and lights turned on or off by an unseen presence. Some even claim to see a kind-looking woman in old-fashioned maid's clothes floating through the room. The piano that plays itself. Then there's the story of Flora Stanley, the founder's wife. Flora loved to play the piano, especially the grand piano in the hotel's music room. But long after her death, guests and staff began hearing soft piano melodies drifting through the halls late at night. When they entered the music room, the keys would be moving, gently, rhythmically, though no one was there. Some guests tried to record the sounds, only for their devices to mysteriously malfunction. Others said they could feel a presence near the piano bench, as if someone invisible had just arisen to greet them. Room 401, the angry ghost. Not all the hotel's spirits are as gentle. Room 401 on the top floor is said to be one of the most active and disturbing. In the early days, the top floor was used for the children of wealthy guests and their nannies, but later it became staff quarters. Guests in 401 have reported closet doors rattling, lights flickering, and even a heavy male presence pressing down on the bed. Some claim to have heard deep growls near their ears or to have seen shadows move across the walls. One story tells of a man who woke up in the middle of the night to find someone standing at the foot of his bed, only for the figure to vanish the instant he turned on the light. Paranormal investigators have tried to document the activity for decades, capturing strange cold spots, electromagnetic spikes, and unexplained voices on tape. One of the most chilling recordings ever made in the hotel was a whisper caught on tape during a late-night investigation. The words were faint but unmistakable. "We've been waiting for you." The voice, researchers said, seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere. Room 418, the children who never left. Guests who stay in room 418 often describe hearing the giggles and footsteps of children running down the hallway, especially when the hotel is empty. Some report feeling small hands touching their faces or blankets being tugged at night. Staff members have heard bouncing balls, playful taps on doors, and laughter echoing through the corridors. Yet no children are there. Could they be the spirits of the children who once played on the 4th floor a century ago? No one knows, but many guests who check into room 418 don't stay the whole night. A visit from Stephen King. By the mid-1970s, the Stanley Hotel had faded into quiet obscurity. Its glory days seemed over. But in 1974, a struggling writer named Stephen King checked in with his wife Tabitha. They were the only guests in the nearly empty hotel that night, and what King experienced there would change horror history forever. He stayed in room 217, the same room where the chambermaid's explosion had happened decades earlier. That night, King dreamed of his young son being chased down the hotel's long corridors by a fire hose that had come to life. He woke up in a cold sweat, heart racing, and looked out the window at the endless, eerie halls of the Stanley. By morning, the idea for The Shining had been born. When the novel was published in 1977, the Stanley Hotel became an icon of horror. It inspired fear across generations. And even though Stanley Kubrick's film adaptation wasn't shot there, fans from around the world still visit Estes Park to walk the same halls that sparked King's imagination. Ghost hunters and modern legends. After The Shining, the Stanley's legend only grew stronger. Paranormal investigators, television crews, and psychic mediums have all tried to unravel the mysteries hidden within its walls. The hotel has been featured in shows like Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures, and The Dead Files, each capturing strange activity, from flickering lights to moving objects and eerie voices recorded in empty rooms. One of the most chilling recordings ever made in the hotel was a whisper caught on tape during a late-night investigation. The words were faint but unmistakable. "We've been waiting for you." The voice, researchers said, seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere. A place between worlds. Today, the Stanley Hotel stands as both a luxury destination and a gateway to the unknown. Guests come for the history, the architecture, and the breathtaking view of the Rockies, but many leave with goosebumps and questions they can't quite explain. Some see flickers of movement in mirrors. Others wake to the feeling of being watched. A few even claim to have captured faces in photographs, faces that weren't there when the picture was taken. And through it all, the hotel embraces its dual identity: elegant by day, haunted by night. Each year, the Stanley hosts ghost tours, paranormal conventions, and even Halloween balls, inviting guests to explore the thin veil between life and death that seems to linger in every hallway. The mystery that never dies. Freeland Stanley passed away in 1940, but perhaps his spirit never left his beloved creation. Some guests have seen a man in a black suit and old-fashioned tie, walking the corridors, checking on guests, just as Stanley once did. Others swear they've seen Flora by the piano, playing softly, her music echoing through the decades. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, one thing is certain: The Stanley Hotel is alive with stories. Stories of love, loss, and something that refuses to fade. It is a monument not only to early American luxury, but also to the power of human imagination and the lingering mysteries of the afterlife. So if you ever find yourself driving through the misty roads of Estes Park and see that grand white building gleaming under the moonlight, remember, every light you see might not just be electricity. Some of them might be watching you back.